Hi, welcome to Monday, a brand new working week, and hopefully you're feeling good. Maybe you had a good weekend. If you're in Thailand, you may have experienced some rain in different parts of the country. But as far as I'm concerned, today is bright blue skies. We might have a bit of rain later, but I'll enjoy the blue skies while we've got it. A very quick note about commenting. Now, a lot of people think they're doing me a great service by sending me a whole lot of links, sometimes to support their point of view, or maybe even a correction, something that we or one of the publications have got wrong. That's all fine, except YouTube is set not to publish those links, so it just sort of goes out to the keeper. The best way, if you've got a link that you want to send me, is send it to me on an email, timnewtontoday@gmail.com. No use putting a link on your YouTube comment because I simply won't see it. Let's get to the main stories now. Big fire on the weekend in Chinatown. And the Bangkok Post gone ahead with exactly that headline, Big Fire in Chinatown. A fire that roared through a packed community in Yoaworat, Bangkok's Chinatown, was brought under control late Saturday night. There were no deaths, but 30 people required medical attention. The blaze began in the Troc Po community in Yoaworat Road in the Sampan Tawong district about 8:42 on Saturday. And the long-standing community was packed with about 60 wooden houses, and about 40 fire engines were deployed. Firefighters declared the fire under control at 11:16 p.m. This video footage from the Surat English YouTube page. About 280 people were affected and sought assistance. Some took shelter at local temples. And in the aftermath of that conflagration, let's try and find what happened. We go to calsotenglish.com. Tourist hotspot, Yoaworat, hit by major fire, possible electric cause. Dramatic photo there looking down on the community, clearly completely wiped out by that fire. And according to the testimony of a municipal officer from the Sampan Tawong district office and the first eyewitness, there was a loud boom, boom, boom sound, similar to electric transformer explosions coming from the incident site. Well, these electric transformers, when they go bang, they really go bang. When I lived in Phuket, I used to have one right across the road from me that exploded a couple of times. Here, I've got one about 3 meters away from the house. It's already gone boom once and frightened the crap out of us. It's often just things like a lot of rain, or it could be things like squirrels getting, well, overcooked and causing the boom. But boy, you really know it when they do. And sometimes it's associated with a lot of sparks and fire. Can look very dramatic. In this case, well, maybe it started the fire. And we go to Thai PBS World. In the aftermath, flood of calls for emergency assistance following the Chinatown blaze, and at least 265 people, both Thais and foreign nationals, registered for emergency assistance, and 4 temporary shelters were arranged at some local temples. The fire spread rapidly through the mostly wooden buildings in the old community of Bangkok's Chinatown, and the narrow alleyways made it difficult for the fire trucks to get to the area. And 30 people, mostly elderly, have been admitted to hospital suffering from the effects of smoke inhalation. And one rescue worker suffered an electric shock whilst on duty. Now, Chinatown's just one of those areas that a lot of tourists and expats just never go to. I love Chinatown, one of the most vibrant communities in the whole of Bangkok. Stayed at a few of the sort of faux retro colonial Chinese hotels there, and loved the decor and the ambience. Some excellent food, and of course during the Chinese New Year it's well, quite noisy and colourful, let's say. It's also the area where Lalisa from Blackpink just recorded a solo video clip and had already garnered 88 million views and was seen as, well, I suppose you could call it soft power for the Yoaworat and the Chinatown area. Thailand's favourite daughter there, Lalisa, and Rockstar, hoping that might bring some people back to Yoaworat Road. The TNT program for Monday the 8th of July, thanking our sponsors, 5-Star Marine, 5-Star Marine Phuket.com, and Beach House Thailand, which is my own business as we rent out beach houses on Airbnb. Links in the description for both of them. Please support them. Now we go to the Bangkok Post with some more news. Bit of a Bangkok Post show today. 10 tourists hurt when Surat Thani tour bus overturns. And 10 European tourists were slightly hurt when a small tour bus carrying them to a pier overturned on a curve in the Phum Phin district. This happened on Saturday morning just before 6:30 a.m. and the driver told police that he'd picked up a group of European tourists from the Surat Thani railway station on Saturday morning to take them to the Don Sak ferry pier. So they would have been heading to Koh Samui, Koh Tao or Koh Pha Ngan. On arriving at the curve in the road, he said he lost control of the vehicle, causing it to overturn. Luckily, no one hurt, but one person that did get back to Koh Pha Ngan, also in the Bangkok Post, hit-and-run Russian DJ arrested on Koh Pha Ngan. Hello sir, may we check out your passport? A Russian disc jockey wanted for a hit-and-run which seriously injured a motorcycle driver has been arrested. He's a 36-year-old. His name is Vigan Atuan. Sorry if I butchered your name. The suspect was wanted on an arrest warrant issued by the Samui Provincial Court for reckless driving, causing serious injuries and property damage. And he worked as a DJ in several tourist provinces in Thailand and recently returned to Koh Pha Ngan 4 days ago to work at a party as he was popular among Russian tourists. And the arrest warrant issued on July 30 last year stemmed from a road crash in which the suspect, driving a Fortuner, hit a motorcycle, causing serious injuries to the motorcyclist. Oh, it's been a year, they would have forgotten by now. Okay, to the latest on the rather long and tortuous road of the cannabis story here in Thailand. This is the latest. And again to the Bangkok Post, government to establish zero tolerance zones for narcotics this year. And the government's planning to establish drug-free zones under the Rockstar and Nan model by September the 30th. The Prime Minister saying authorities would suppress and prosecute dealers and provide treatment and rehab for addicts so they can reintegrate well into society. And AsiaNow.com, their reporting of the story saying PM Srettha launches nationwide crackdown on drug abuse. But we'll head back to the Bangkok Post for the rest of this story. The model, which aims to designate areas with high prevalence of drugs as no-tolerance zones, is currently being used in a couple of districts in Rockstar and Nan. The Prime Minister said the no-tolerance model had demonstrated effective structuring and procedures for tackling drugs through the integration of all state agencies. He said the suppression of drugs is crucial and it's the government's current priority because drugs are a serious threat to the future of everyone. Now, Thailand really doesn't have a strong history when it comes to the suppression of drugs and drug use. I go back to the Thaksin war on drugs that was particularly violent, and it seems to me that this is sort of a war on drugs version 2.0 with a little bit of help for the drug users thrown in there as well. We'll see how it affects the current cannabis situation in just a moment. And the Department of Mental Health, other psychiatric institutions will be responsible for supervising the rehabilitation process, he said. He also urged the Education and Innovation Ministries to implement measures to prevent children from using drugs. Well, so many governments around the world have tried and mostly failed in these suppressions. The manufacturers of a lot of these drugs are just many steps ahead and much more nimble than governments, who are just trying to mop up the mess after the damage has been done. Let's go to this story, to Straits Times, although the original article was published in Bloomberg. Thailand takes next step to relabel cannabis as narcotics again. And Thailand took another step in its plan to reclassify cannabis and hemp as narcotics after a committee tasked with controlling illegal drugs agreed that they should not be used recreationally. All members of the committee agreed on the principle that cannabis should be used only for medical treatment. A majority agreed to put cannabis and hemp back on the narcotics list. And thousands of weed dispensaries and other related businesses have opened across the country since Thailand became the first country in Asia to decriminalise cannabis back in 2022. But cannabis advocacy groups and businesses have voiced their opposition to the policy U-turn, staging rallies and threatening a legal challenge against the Premier. Well, there's a bit of policy U-turn, but there's also been a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding of what the original decriminalisation was all about. Let's go to thepatianews.com. The headline, Thai Deputy PM Anutin Charnvirakul questions legal implications of cannabis reclassification, calls for clarification. And in one sentence, Anutin reaffirmed Phumjai Thai Party's stance that cannabis should be used for medical and economic purposes, not for recreation. But in the next sentence, Anutin questioned the rationale behind this reclassification as it reverts to a previous status set by the same board during his tenure as Minister of Public Health. So on one hand, as he said all along, he doesn't want cannabis to be used recreationally. However, he doesn't want to see it reclassified as a narcotic. And then this one, he criticised the lack of a comprehensive cannabis legislation. Now that, during his term as Public Health Minister, falls squarely and 100% on his lap, warning that future health ministers could easily reverse cannabis policies, leading to ongoing confusion. And despite respecting the new minister's approach, Anutin maintained that the Phumjai Thai Party stands firm in avoiding public distress and is willing to cooperate if there are valid reasons. And that's all code for we don't want to get kicked out of the coalition over this matter. I want to retain my position as a Deputy PM, and that's the most important thing to me. Well, that's how I read it anyway. And with that, thank you very much for watching today. A lot about the fire, but a big fire in a very important part of Bangkok. And as we said, at the moment, there's one person still missing. Hopefully they get found safely. Thanks for watching today. Please support our sponsors. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.